Switch it up, put the hip shit on the shelf. Cause the way the real wealth is being real with self. My eyes done seen the glory of the coming of the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help. It's time to switch it up, put the hip shit on the shelf. Cause the way the real wealth is being real with self. My eyes done seen the glory of the coming of the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help.
Money, money, money. That's all he talks
There's
about.
nothing wrong with being wealthy. Like Kanye West says, having money is not everything, but not having it is. No, Deuteronomy 8:18 says God gives us the ability to create wealth.
Money is the root to all.
No, it's the love of money that's the root of all evil.
I like money. Oh, kid.
Yes, I do think about other things than money. I'm just trying to leave a legacy for my family. Money's not everything, but when you got it, you can do some cool stuff. And now, your host for Talking Money in the Morning, financial health mentor to the working class, Mr. H. Cortez. Good morning, and welcome to Talking Money in the Morning Live with your main man, H. Cortez, the one and only financial health mentor to the black community, where I do my absolute best to bring practical, proven, wealth-building strategies to working men and women all over this great country of ours. It is truly an honor, a privilege, and a blessing to come to you live and direct from the Win Within Studios here in St. Louis, Missouri. Guys, today's guest, you guys know we're doing Young Authors Week. And today's guest was scheduled to be Christian the Truth Jones, author of The Win Within. But we had some technical issues this morning that we could not overcome. So I will bring a special edition of Talking Money in the Morning later this evening when I meet up with him face to face. So we will make that happen and get him to before you. But if you want a cool little book that addresses bullying from a very, very different perspective, I want you to go to check out The Win Within. Get it on Amazon.com by Christian the Truth Jones. That book is amazingly powerful because when kids are involved in sports and things of that nature, and they are new to a team and they kind of go through what we traditionally called hazing, that's very borderline bullying, if not full-on bullying. So that book addresses that in a very special way. So definitely check that out, man. And I'll get young Christian on the show here really soon. If not later today, then we might have to make it work for tomorrow. We'll get his tech issues squared away so that he can join us on tomorrow's show. That go to Amazon.com and pick up the book, The Win Within by Christian the Truth Jones. It's an amazing read. Do me a huge favor. We are only streaming to Facebook today. YouTube is tripping with me. And as I was working on the technical issues for Christian, I didn't actually get to set up the Periscope stream. So it's just us today, Facebook. So do me a favor, go ahead and share this stream on your timeline and invite some friends to come check it out. There it is, The Win Within. Janelle Bailey Jones is the mother of young Christian, who is doing some amazing things, not just an author, but as a public speaker. Right? How old is Christian, Janelle? Young man is looking to travel the world and speak with the likes of Les Brown and Tony Robbins and people like that. Really wants to inspire the world, not just the youth, but wants to inspire the world, which is an amazing thing. And do me a huge favor, guys. I am about 60 away from having 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So those of you who have the ability to jump onto another device and go to YouTube and subscribe to the channel, I'm at Financial Health Mentor on YouTube. I'd appreciate that very much. Something happens that says I unlock a few more features if I get to 1,000 subscribers. So I'm trying to see what that's all about. Right. So go over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel over there at Financial Health Mentor on YouTube. Quick announcement, but before I get into my announcements, let me let you know exactly who the show is for. This show is for risers and grinders only, right? If you're ready to get up and get out and get something this morning, this is your show. Point blank period. If you are that type of person that says, you know what, I'm going through all that I have to go through, making the tough sacrifices so I can lay a foundation to create a legacy for my family, this is your show. Every night before I lay down to sleep, man, I'm asking myself, what can I do tomorrow and the day after that and the days beyond to make sure my children's children are proud to bear my last name? If that's you, this is your show, my friend. On the other hand, who is the show now for? Good morning, Bob. How's it going, brother? Angela, good morning. On the other hand, who is the show now for? If you have that weird relationship with money where you think money is evil, you think capitalism is a dirty word, you think wealthy people are snobs, get off my stream. Because everybody on this stream is wealthy, right? And that's your attitude towards us, then don't be around us, man. If you're going to be down for me, be all the way down for me or get from around me. In the words of Mystical, right? So if that's you, it's cool. You may have reached your pinnacle and may have be standing where you want to stand. I'm not satisfied with where I am. I don't have the amount of resources to accomplish the vision that God has set into my heart. So I'm going to go get those resources myself instead of going to ask somebody else for them. And I'm going to do what I've been called to this planet to do, and that is rebuild the black community one family at a time. So if you are not about that life of building generational wealth for you and your family, exit this stream now. And as I tell you each and every morning, if you've never seen a future billionaire before, then I want you to take a screenshot. Jeez, and watch me work, man. Not only am I bold enough to proclaim that, but I also put a date on it, 2027. And I know some of you guys are saying, man, you can't become no billionaire in 10 years. I want you to go look up Uber and see the date that Uber was founded. Uber is less than 10 years old, 3-point-something billion dollar company. So don't tell me, don't superimpose your limitations on me. Do not superimpose your limitations on me. If you don't want that and you don't aspire to be greater, then cool. But here's the other thing about having lofty goals and setting your expectations high. What if I come up 50% short? I think I can figure out how to make it on 500 million. What if I only get 10% of the way there? I think I can figure out how to make it on 100 million. What if I just get 1% there? It's 10 million. I think I can figure out how to make it. I think I can figure out how to rebuild the black community even with those sorts of resources, right? So that's me. That's who I am. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. A couple quick announcements, guys. The video marketing class and how to build your website class is being put together and repackaged for distribution. Those classes will be on sale for $97 each or both for $157. So you will actually have everything that you need to know to build your brand, build your own website, build your use video marketing to make those websites grow. As you can see, my man Robert Plant, Planting Future Gains. Give me your name of your brand again, Robert. He started blogging based on what he learned from that how to build your website class, and he ain't stopped, man. He's just been blogging, man. He is amazing. But that's what he learned from that class. Now we're gonna help him take it to another level by adding video, and that's a marriage for. This is how I exploded my brand through a private website, blogging, and adding and incorporating video, and that of course morphed into live streaming and a show like what we're doing today. So that will be available. Also, the Black Wealth Movement, man, is in full swing. We've added 7 other families, Planning Future Gains Financial Education Group. There we go. We've added 7 more families to the Black Wealth Movement just in the last couple of days. So I'm super excited, guys. What is the Black Wealth Movement all about? The Black Wealth Movement is a group of people coming together, and they're dedicating their lives to bringing financial education to the black community. And we teach financial education using the 5 wealth building principles that all wealthy people use. What are they? Entrepreneurship. You're in America. America is business. If you don't have a business in America, then you're basically a foreigner in your own country. So we teach entrepreneurship. We teach tax minimization. When you are a business owner, you get to operate by a different set of rules. And we teach you how to use those rules effectively and to your benefit. We teach debt elimination. There's not a wealthy person on this planet that has a bunch of personal debt, but they do understand how to leverage debt to build wealth. And that's why we teach number 4, credit education. Credit education, how to get a good credit score, maintain a good credit score, and also how to improve your credit, and then how to leverage credit to build wealth if you're about building a legacy for you and your family. And number 5 is investments. Guys, we have the lowest median income on the entire planet, Black people here in America. Yet we account for 87% of all retail spending. I must say that one more time because I don't think y'all heard that. We have the lowest median income on the planet, and yet we account for 87% of all retail spending. Why are we spending so much money retail? Is because we don't understand the power in buying wholesale. We don't understand the power in buying assets versus liabilities. So we teach all 5 of those principles, and you won't believe the low cost that you can get all of those things for, and plus you get a group of people that will help you every step of the way, just $35 per month. And here's what we're doing. Because we want to get this message out, somebody on my team is willing to pay it forward for you for your first month, so you can join absolutely free, and then we will teach you the game, what we've got going on, how it all works, and then you can get off to the races and do your thing big time. So if you want more information on the Black Wealth Movement, comment Black Wealth Movement below, or you can text me or inbox me. You can text Black Wealth Movement to 314-874-6887, or you just inbox me, man, a good phone number and a good time for us to have a quick call, man. We got to jump on the phone. I want to feel you out, let you feel me out, let you see what this thing is all about, and let's do the thing from there, man. Let's take this thing to a whole nother level. So today's show, I initially had a guest scheduled for the day. We had some technical difficulties, so I'll get Christian the Truth Jones back on the show. Young man is just flat out amazing, just like my other 2 guests was this morning. And I actually have another guest, young author, another young best-selling author coming on tomorrow. So that'll be super fun as we get him in the mood, in the groove, and introduce you guys to him as well. But today, since we were doing Young Authors Week and I'm introducing you to all of these amazing kids, I thought I'd talk about us as adults going back to being a kid again. Now, of course, we can't reverse the hands of time and go back to being 12 years old. But what I mean by going back to a kid again, there are certain qualities that children have when they are young that we tend to lose as we become adults, right? As they start putting those 4 walls up around us and putting us into the proverbial box, we start to lose certain aspects and qualities about who we really are and the things that we really can do, right? Number 1, children absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, truly believe that they can do all things. When was the first time, do you remember, does anybody remember the first time they felt there was something they really wanted to do and couldn't do it? Are you guys familiar with the movie Baby Geniuses? Anybody familiar with the movie Baby Geniuses? When my children were coming up, my older sons loved this movie called Baby Geniuses. And the movie was about all of these babies, and it took the premise, because there's a study that says 999 people out of 1,000 operate at a genius level from 0 to about 18 months. So the movie was on that premise. So these kids were actually geniuses, and they were saving the world superhero style, right? Because they were doing all this stuff. So when the parents went to sleep, or when the parents were away, they would be up, they would be talking fluently, different languages, all that stuff, computers, all that stuff. So it was showing that when the kids are at that level, at that age, they actually operate at a genius level. Now, adults, since we have lost our genius, we couldn't, in the movie, the adults couldn't understand the children, but all of the children could understand each other, and they were doing all these amazing things. It's the cutest little movie you'll ever see. But the kids, they had this saying that they knew would happen to all of them at some point, and they called it crossing over. In that movie, they called it crossing over, meaning as their little buddies were running around helping them save the world, at some point that baby will get to a certain age and they will cross over and they would no longer be able to tap into their genius. At what age were you when you crossed over and you stopped believing you could take over the world? How old were you when you crossed over and you stopped believing that you can take over the world? You guys got to go watch that movie, Baby Geniuses. Part 2 wasn't as good as part 1, but part 1 was amazing, right? Because they would be talking and all this fluentness technology, they would be talking, and then all of a sudden when the one of the babies crossed over, then the baby would be goo goo gaga, and they couldn't understand each other. But as long as they were operating in their genius, it wasn't nothing they couldn't accomplish, right? How old were you when you crossed over and you lost your ability to tap into your genius? See, I want us all to go back to a kid again from that perspective. Kids believe that they can do anything until adults in their lives tell them otherwise. And we as adults don't just flat out tell them they can't do anything, but we subliminally put limitations on them by throwing words around like, let's just be realistic, right? We subliminally just say, let's taper that enthusiasm just a little bit. See, we are superimposing limitations on them when we say those kinds of phrases to them. Let's not dream so big right now. Let's bite off measurable chunks. All that is saying is you saying that you don't believe in your kid. You don't believe that they can figure out how to get it done. So you are finding creative ways to tell them they can't. You're finding creative ways to tell them they can't believe. You are literally limiting those. That's the crossover, listening to adults. That's right. You start listening to adults. That's when you cross over. And that's what has happened to all of us. So from about 18 months to about 20 years old, they say only 20% of us. So we go from nearly 100% of us operating in our genius to about 20% of us from 18 months to 20 years old. Only about 20 people continue to operate in their genius. Right? So we go from nearly 100% down to 20%. And then we go from 20% to 2%. Only 2% of people over the age of 20 is operating in their genius. Operating in their genius. Yeah, Van says you learn about 80% of everything you will ever learn by age 8. And Van, I will argue this. The only reason you stop learning more is because they take you out of the situation where everything is available to be learned, and they put you in a box and they start teaching you the same old things every day. See, you talk to anybody who is into neuropsychology and neurophysiology, they will tell you that you can process billions of bits of information at the same time. Billions at the same time. The reason we can't understand a baby is because they are literally processing sight, sound, image, feelings, smells, all of that stuff at the exact same time, billions of bits of data. And they have neural pathways because they're processing so much information. Their neural pathways are growing and firing so rapidly. That's why their brain grows so fast from that age and within that age period. But what stops that from happening, and they literally start cutting neural pathways, is when the routine, when the daily activities become routine. I.e., you put them in daycare and childcare and preschool and all that stuff too soon. And they go from every experience being new, meaning they're continuing to grow moment to moment, second to second, to you putting them in a box and saying, no, we're going to repeat the same thing over and over and over again. And the genius of your mind says, hell, I don't need all these neural connections if we're just going to do the same thing over and over again. And you literally start cutting off neural connections in your brain. Because you don't need them. You're not taking in billions of bits of data every second. And most of that data being new. You're still taking in billions of bits of data every second, but it's repetitive data. So you don't need neural connections. New neural connections, so your brain literally stops growing, and you know there's only two phases in life. There's growth and there's death. So what happens when at 18 months, 24 months, 36 months, you put your kid in the preschool, everything becomes so routine and so systematic that the brain literally stops growing. It's only two stages of life. You're either growing or you're dying. So when the brain stops growing, it starts dying. Van says at 8 years, at 5 years. The moment you put your kids into preschool, the moment you put your kids into situations where the routine is very systematic, it's the same mundane thing over and over, you start losing the ability to process information. You start losing imagination, you start losing creativity. So you literally we start killing our kids by putting them in school and forcing them into school at an early age. I know it's hard to hear that. It's hard to hear that. Right? But somebody came up with the idea that that was civilized. Somebody came up with the idea that that was civilized and made that common practice, made that standard. Am I saying we don't need formal education? That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, though, is if we have the expectancy to be here for 120 years, what's the rush? If we have a life expectancy of about 120 years, why are we rushing to get a child reading at 5? Because society says that's normal. And then ultimately somebody thinks for you. Exactly. So your genius is being cut off early because somebody told us this was the way to do that. This was the proper way. Somebody told us that this is how it should be done. Right? That's not the... I'm sorry, guys. So at what point in your life did you cross over? Because this show today is about getting you guys to cross back over. Go back and tap back into your genius. Tap back into your genius. You know why that there's people on this planet that are uber successful? And those are the people who do the personal growth and self-development coaching and all that kind of stuff. Those people are learning stuff new every day. They're putting themselves in new environments, newer situations every day. And they're starting to realize that, hey, when I keep introducing something new to my mind every day, my mind will adjust and it starts to create more neural pathways to process more of this information. And now my brain is starting to grow again. My thought capacity is starting to increase again. I want to help you guys go back to a kid again. I won't get into belief because you guys know how I believe, right? I have 3 core beliefs. I believe that I'm a God under the Most High God. I believe that I can do all things. And I believe that everything the sun touches belongs to me. That's what I believe about me. I don't know what you believe about you. The book I read tells me that I'm a God under the Most High God, meaning I am a child of the Creator. So that's what I do. I create. What do you create, H. Cortez? I create my own world. I'm fully responsible for my own world. If my world is upside down, I did that. And if it's going to turn from upside down to right side up, guess who's going to have to do that? Me. See, we got to a point where, because I just gave you that long dissertation about how the school system may or may not have jacked you up, now you want to blame the school system. No. You are the creator of your own world. And if your world is jacked up, it's not going to get unjacked up, right? If that's a word, until you take full responsibility for jacking it up. Nobody did that but you. Right? So I want you to go back to a kid again, back to tapping into your genius, really go back into believing that you can do all things. Because what I want you to understand is this. Everything that has been created, has been created with the same technology that we access today. So you mean to tell me that if we create this whole of creation, this world of creation has been set in motion by understanding some fundamental principles, some mental laws, right? I said, let there be light. And there was light. What are you saying to create your world? It didn't say God screwed in a light bulb. It said the words that came out of his mouth created light. What are you saying in the creation of your world, right? So I want you to go back to a kid again. I want you to go back to believing in you and your ability to create your own world. If the world you're living in right now is not what you've designed, then redesign it. If the world that you're living in today, right now, is not the way you designed it, redesign it. Because only you have the power to do so. Go back to a kid again, man. Go back to belief. Right? What's another thing that kids had that gave them an advantage, man? Kids were fearless. How many of you guys can think back to the time when you were absolutely fearless? I mean, think back. There was a time in your life you were absolutely fearless. Babies are born with 2 fears. Fear of falling, fear of loud noises. Fear of falling, fear of loud noises. And you know where they got those fears? In the mother's womb. See, when a mother got 5, 6 months pregnant, and then she was at that stage of gestation, that stage in her pregnancy, the mother became extremely fearful of falling. right? Because the last thing she wanted to do is fall on her stomach and hurt her baby. When a woman gets to a certain size and a certain stage in her pregnancy, that's one of her greatest fears, is falling. You guys realize that? Women, ladies, tell me am I wrong? When a woman gets to a certain stage in her carrying her baby, she gets extremely fearful of falling because she knows that she's carrying precious cargo. And that fear of falling from mom gets transferred to the baby. Otherwise, baby wouldn't have no fear. Where does the fear of loud noise come from? Comes from mom. When mom is in her nesting period, she don't do certain things. She's in her nesting period. She wants quiet. She wants peace. She doesn't want surprise and interruptions because, hell, too much trauma too quickly, too much of a surprise could send her into labor. So she's trying to protect the baby early on. So the baby adopts that fear of falling from mom and that fear of loud noises from mom. So the baby then is born with those two fears. But that's pretty much it. That's all the baby is scared of. Hey guys, real quick, I promise I won't take you long to get you back to the show, but I just want you to know that I have a free copy for you of Monetize My Life, my way of saying thank you for supporting me and following this show and all the words of encouragement. So I want to give back to you a free download of Monetize My Life, because my mission in life is to empower people economically through entrepreneurship. So I wrote this little book to help you understand how to take the gifts, talents, and special abilities that God has blessed you with and turn them into profitable enterprises. So go over to financialhealthmentor.com/downloads and you can download this book for free. And hopefully it will help you uncover your passion, which will lead you to your purpose. And where your purpose is, there is your vision and also your provision. So thanks so much for all the support. Now let's get back to the show. Fear of falling, fear of loud noises. Mom, when she gets to it, when that baby starts to show, and she gets to a certain size, she's like, man, and everything is eggshells. She don't want to fall because she could injure the baby. Right, so that fear gets transferred to the baby. So now when the baby comes out, the baby is fearful of falling. Right? Mom wants to be in quiet environments, wants to protect the baby's little ears as they're developing. So she doesn't like loud noises. She doesn't want to be any traumatic situations that might agitate her and send her into an early labor. So that fear transfers into the baby. And that's what those are two fears that the babies are born with. But outside of that, kids don't know what they should be afraid of until we tell them. They don't know what they should be afraid of until we tell them. Right? How many can think back to one of my all-time favorite Facebook posts? Talks about us going back to when we were kids. Right? When there was a time where we could stay out all day, up the street, down the street, round the corner, nobody bothered us, right? There was a time where you had the 5-second rule, the 10-second rule, something hits the ground, you pick it up and eat it, and you didn't die, right? So there was a lot of things that we did when we came up that we are talking to and teaching kids that we're talking about it as if it's a death sentence if the kids do the same thing today. And that's why the kids today are so freaking soft. That's why they're so freaking soft. But there was a time when you were a kid and you were fearless. Fearless. And because of that fearlessness, you grew. Right? You think about my son, who, two of my sons, Two of my sons. This happened with two of my sons as they were learning to walk. When we were a young couple, my wife and I stayed with. She stayed with her mom. I stayed with my mom. So we were at at her mom's house, and her sisters and brothers also stayed there, and they had kids a little older than my kids. My son has not begun to really walk. He's standing and he's wobbling, and that's kind of where he is, right? He's not stepping on his own. He's trying to get that thing figured out. You guys know what got him to take off walking? And in fact, he didn't even take off walking. My son's first step was run. It wasn't a walk. You know what got him running? Is 3 or 4 of my little nieces and nephews ran past the bedroom door, and he ran after them. Funniest thing ever. Never really walked before in his life, just learning to stand up. But 3 or 4 of my little nieces and nephews, his older brothers, ran by the bedroom door, and he ran after them. Here we are telling him, coaching him to walk, and he can already run. Y'all hear that? Here we are coaching him to walk, and he can already run. That's where we're making a mistake with our kids. Very worst thing that we can do with the kids is set expectations too low, and that's what we're doing. You know why we do that? It's because somebody else has already set expectations for us. So somebody tells us that our child should progress from preschool, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. And some of us got kids reading on a 5th grade level at 5 years old. Got kids doing 5th grade math, and they're tapping into their genius, and then we suppress their genius. Say, wait a minute. You too smart for your own good. Anybody ever tell you that? Anybody ever tell you you too smart for your own good? As a child. You too smart for your own good. See, to me, that's a curse. It's not a cuss. It's a curse. He says, just for curiosity's sake, is that son your fastest child? I think he is. Now, his older brother might be. My oldest son is pretty athletic. He's pretty darn good at everything he did. But yeah, he's pretty darn fast and pretty quick right now. As a 17-year-old, he's a 5'5" point guard, and it's hard for people to stay in front of him on the basketball court. But you too smart for your own good. Don't come over here with all that smartness, that smart business, right? That is a curse, which is different from a cuss. See, when my sons were small, one of my sons played football. Both of my youngest sons played football, and they played for a coach that loved them to death, but he cussed a lot. As a Christian man, it was hard for other Christians to understand why or how I can let my sons play for a man with such a foul mouth. Don't you think that's going to influence your kid? I said it could, but I'm the primary male influence in my child's life. So whatever somebody's influencing negatively, I fix that because that's my job, right? But the same people, when their son or daughter or somebody made a mistake in life and something, they will call them all kind of stupid this, you dumb that, you silly sucker, and all. So you are cursing your kids, but you judge me for allowing my kid to be around somebody who cusses. There's a difference between cursing and cussing. See, you keep telling your kid how stupid they are, eventually they're going to believe it. No matter how bright and how intelligent. You tell a lie loud enough and long enough, it becomes truth. And if you're constantly telling your children they're stupid, and my kids can be around somebody who says, drops the F-bomb every now and then, but at the end of every practice, he tells them he loves them, and he's coaching them up, and he's getting them to believe in themselves. But you, on the other hand, go sit your dumb self down somewhere. Boy, you just so stupid, you can't get nothing right. Now, you're not cussing, but you're cursing. That's more detrimental than cussing. So go back to that kid in you that was fearless, that believed wholeheartedly that you could achieve your dreams. Whatever those dreams were, go back to that place, man, because they're still there. You can still dust them off. They are still there. And I'm gonna say this about this is one thing that we don't understand, and most people don't. We know that life and death is in the power of the tongue, but I'm gonna tell you something about cursing a kid or cussing a kid that could be even more detrimental than what you think. If your child's love language is words of affirmation, then you cursing them hurts them far more than somebody whose love language is gifts. Right? So you know people who you listen to the way they communicate with others and it is just crazy. And you're like, how can you stomach that? That's me. How could you stomach people talking to you like that and just going back and forth, arguing, fussing, fighting, calling each other names? You know why I can't stomach that? Because my primary love language is words of affirmation. See, the way I feel love is when people affirm me verbally. So guess what? Because that's my love language, that's how I feel love, that's also how you can cut me the deepest. I have a pretty good pain tolerance. You can physically do some things to me, right? But you can say something to me and I'll start crying right here, right now. Because words for me are how I feel and express love. Right? So if you have children whose love language is words of affirmation and all you do is tear them down with the tongue, you are actually scarring them far worse than you could if you don't give them quality time. Far worse than you could if you don't buy them gifts. Far worse than you could if you don't do things for them. Acts of service, which is another one. Far worse if you don't give them hugs all the time, which is physical touch, is another one of the love languages. So if you don't understand how that works, you could literally be killing your kid inside with the words that you use. That's why that's a great read for any parent. Understanding the 5 love languages: acts of service, physical touch, words of affirmation, gifts. Some kids just like to receive gifts. And there's another: acts of service, physical touch, words of affirmation, gifts. And the 5th one will come to me. And I'll give it to you. But yeah, there's 5 love languages, right? How you receive and express love makes a big difference. Yeah, sticks and stones may break my bones was the foulest stuff ever because they didn't understand the 5 love languages. Now I'm going to be twisted up until I get you the 5th one. Acts of service, physical touch, words of affirmation, gifts, and did I give quality time? There you go. Quality time was the 5th one. So you can have a child whose love language is words of affirmation, and you say, and you're affirming, and you're not affirming them, and you're even if you're not belittling them, you're just not affirming them, but you spend all the time in the world with them. You shower with them with everything they want. You give them all the hugs they want, right? You do things for them all the time. You rip and run them all over town. That kid can grow up 20 years from now and still swear you never loved them, because you didn't express love to them in the primary way that they receive love. That's a big, 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 big difference. And everybody should understand this about their children. I'm still going through it now. I got my oldest son hasn't talked to me in almost a year. Right? I did something wrong in not understanding his love language and how he needed to receive love from me. So now we don't have any communication, and it's because he feel that I didn't love him. Even though I washed him, bathed him, clothed him, put a roof over his head, sent him to school, all of that. But people have different ways that they feel and receive love, and you have to understand that about your children, right? You could be giving gifts to your child, or think about the kid whose dad ain't never in their life, never. But every time dad does show up, once or twice a year, he shows up with gifts. And that kid just loves his dad's dirty drawers. Because the kid's love language is gifts. The dad is communicating with him in the way that he receives love. And you're saying, how could you always talk good about your dad? He ain't never spend no time with you. Because quality time don't mean nothing to that kid. He ain't never told you he loved you. Words of affirmation don't mean nothing to that kid. He's getting from his dad the way that he receives love is gifts. Right? So I want you to go back to being a kid. We went way off somewhere else. But I want to give you this one. Creativity, man. Tap back into that childlike creativity. Tap back into your childlike creativity, y'all. When you have the ability to use, you know what, I can't remember the exact lyric, but I remember Andre 3000 saying something about his mind being his weapon and it never runs out of ammunition. I want y'all to get that. When you start tapping into your creative genius, it is a weapon that never runs out of ammunition. Now I'm going to have to go find the song and find that lyric for y'all. Outkast, one of my all-time favorite groups. Andre 3000, one of my all-time favorite rappers. Right? But he says, my mind is my weapon and it never runs out of ammunition. Might have been in Jezebel. Off the ATLiens album. I don't know. I have to go back and check. Your mind is the weapon that never runs out of ammunition. Yeah, it's a weapon that never runs out of ammunition. But because we stop practicing our creativity, we anything, just like any other muscle, your creativity can atrophy. Your creativity can atrophy. Are y'all hearing me? So some of us are just saying, man, I'm just not that creative. You were when you were a child. But at some point, somebody didn't like your creation as much as they like somebody else's creation, and you internalize that and you stop trying to create. Tap back into your creative genius, because that's the one weapon that's never out of ammunition. We are children of the Creator. We are designed by nature to create. It's time to start exercising that muscle. Start working that thing out. Start massaging that creativity. right? I'm not the guy who exercised my muscle in terms of I can take an image from my mind and I can draw that same image on a piece of paper to those exact specifications, right? But I am a very creative thinker, right? I am a solutions-oriented person where you give me a problem, man, and I would never run out of potential solutions to solve it. Because I know that's my creative genius, right? So I want you guys to go back to the kid. Find that kid inside, man, and go back to believing that you can do all things. Find that kid inside. Go back to being fearless, right? Some of you guys got books in you. Some of you guys got music in you. Some of you guys got businesses in you. Some of you guys got so much greatness in you, but you have a fear of letting it out. Therefore, you're going to take that genius, that platinum album, that best-selling book, you're going to take it right to the grave with you, man. Because of fear. Because of fear. Some of you guys are attempting to get some of that stuff out of you, but somebody told you there's only one way to do it, and you're finding and having trouble doing it that one way. Tap into your creative genius and say, hey, I know everybody else that has ever written a book has done it this way. I'm not writing my book that way because for some reason I'm being led to do it this way. And if I have to be a trailblazer and it be completely unique, I'm going to do it this way. Somebody told me that in order to produce a music CD, you have to go through step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But for some reason, I'm compelled to start at step 7 and work my way back to 1. Be creative about what you're doing and how you can get it done, man. I want you guys to go buy a tent, and I want you to pitch that tent just on the other side, just on the outside of your comfort zone, and live there. Go buy a tent and pitch that tent just on the outside of your comfort zone and live there. Because that's where all the magic happens, y'all. That's where all the magic happens, on the outside of your comfort zone. And as a kid, we didn't have a comfort zone. See, as a kid, I would do stuff that was embarrassing to other people. Somebody had to tell me that I was supposed to be embarrassed. Yeah, I think Jezebel is on ATLians by Outkast. I think Jezebel is on that song, on that one. I think Black Ice is on that one. Yeah, thanks, Bethany. So somebody superimposed their limitations on you when you were a child. And I know as adults, we are trying to protect our children from heartbreak. Let me tell y'all something about a child. We don't want our children to experience heartbreak because how it felt when we experienced it. Most of us, though, didn't experience heartbreak until we were older. So the experience is different, and then we superimpose that experience on our children. So when they have a small snafu in their life, now they have grown folks' heartbreak over not making the volleyball team. When in any other situation, they wouldn't even be tripping off that. They'd be on to the next thing. But we superimpose our adult heartbreak on them, and we told them that they should be disappointed. We told them that their heart should be broken when they didn't want to play volleyball in the first place. They tried out because all their friends tried out. And guess what? The day that they got cut, they went and tried out for something else. But then you told them that, hey, let's have a party. We're sorry that you didn't make the team. And they're saying, I guess I'm supposed to be sad about that. And then every other disappointment in their life, they start being sad about it because you taught them that. You guys are, kids are some of the most resilient, or the most resilient people on this planet. They pick up all their negative stuff from us. Yeah, we have to protect our children from us, from us, right? So, I apologize again. I know you guys saw the flyer that the young man Christian Truth Jones was going to be on this morning. We had some technical issues that we couldn't overcome before 7, so we're going to have to do something different. I promise I will introduce you to the young man because I want you to meet him. I want you all to go out and buy his book. It is The Win Within. It's on Amazon. I might bring him back and we might do a campaign to push him to a bestseller because the book is that powerful. And for me, I never thought about it. I never thought about bullying from that perspective because it was just normal. It's just normal in sports. It's normal in sports. Thank you, Bethany. Bethany's already got herself a copy. It's normal in sports to pick on the kid who is not as athletically gifted as everybody else. But that's bullying, y'all. That's bullying. If we took that outside of sports and put that situation anywhere else, that's bullying. And he really, really does a good job in that book of explaining some things that he went through and how they rectified it and how he had a good support system. So that's another good book for your child to read. So you want to put that in your library. We got to keep getting books in front of our kids where they have images and stories that they can relate to and that look like them, where they can see themselves in the picture as winners, right? I don't know if you guys notice, and every time you see us in media, whether it's on the news, whether it's in TV, whether it's in movies, we are very, 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 very rarely the hero. I want you to get this. If I am a child and I never, ever, 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 ever see anybody that looks like me as the hero, I start to subconsciously believe that I am a natural born villain. If as a child, I never, ever, 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 ever see images of me as the hero, I will subconsciously start to believe that I'm a natural born villain. And if that gets into my subconscious, I start behaving like a villain. And if everybody else in the world never sees me as a hero and they only see me as a villain, and I subconsciously believe that and I start behaving as a villain, then when I am approached by other cultures who have only seen me as a villain and I have characteristics of a villain, they treat me like a villain. And that's why the prisons are filled with black people right now today. It's not about right or wrong, man. It goes way deeper than that. Yes, most of those people did at some point break the law, but where did the psychological makeup in those people come from that made them think breaking the law was okay? It's deeper than that, y'all. We and in the words of my man Evan Jefferson, we sick boss. And nobody's doing anything to address this illness. And when I say nobody, I'm not talking about anybody outside the culture. We have to address this illness ourselves. We have to address this illness ourselves. We have to first admit that we're sick in order to seek the help that we need to overcome this illness. That's all. So, guys, I know I kept you a little bit late. We started a little bit late today, so I had to get my full 60 minutes in. Love y'all, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, rocking with your boy every morning. And I just want to help us all win, man. And I don't think we get it really that We are the engine that runs this world. We are the fuel, right? The Matrix had it right when it showed that people were being bred as an energy source to fuel the machines. Well, guess what? The very machine that we have to fight against every day, white supremacy and racism, to live some semblance of a quality life in this country and around the world, we are the power source that fuels that very machine. And we don't even know, right? And we don't even know. We're the power source that fuels that very machine. And we don't even know because we sick, boss. So we got some healing to do, and I want to help in any way that I can. That's why I am sourcing out my own resources, so I don't have to wait on somebody to hand me a resource in order to affect my community in a positive way. I'm going to go out and get my own darn resources, and I'm going to come back and rebuild my community. Don't believe me, just watch. I'm your main man, H. Cortez, the one and only financial health mentor to the black community. Until I talk to you guys tomorrow, I want you to get your money up because you absolutely can do it. Peace out, y'all.